I am still a irredeemable cinephile. Sorry, y'all. I know. For some of y'all, it's like, why do you want to spend money on Hollywood? And I get it. I get it. It's not about spending money on Hollywood. It's about the art of cinema. But if you see it differently, that's fine. And if you abstain from seeing any movies, I bless you for that. I personally don't think giving a few dollars to the local movie theater to see some movie every week or so, means that I'm. I don't think those. I think it amounts to maybe a couple of pennies, or if that, going into some Hollywood pedophiles' pockets. So my conscience is clean as far as that goes. But feel differently if you want. Anyway, that's just my preamble. So I was curious enough about the new Superman. I'd heard a lot of talk about it, and I heard a lot of negativity from a lot of people. And then there were people, there was sort of but it wasn't like, what I typically hear, because I'm, very, I follow the anti-woke movie channels, and Critical Drinker and the whole lot of them. I enjoy their content, and so I was curious because I was not hearing just total unanimity one way or the other. In fact, there seemed to be a lot of these anti-woke people out there who were defending the new Superman, and then there were others who were saying, yeah, it's obviously woke, it's obviously PC, it's James Gunn. I have no love for James Gunn, by the way, as a person. I don't think that this goes back to those tweets from years and years ago. I think that suggests something very icky about the man. I don't think it's just something that you can just excuse as, well, that was just a different time, and you could be shot. He's just being edgy on Twitter, and no, I can't do that. But I also so fault me if you want for paying, I guess it was $14 to see a matinee of Superman, directed by James Gunn. I guess I've given this pedophile, this Hollywood pedophile or creep. I don't know if I want to allege. I don't know. It's probably not wise to make any allegations like that about specific people. But like I said, hold that against me if you want. I was just my conscience is clean as far as spending money on it. I don't. It's not like I'm helping to fund it. I'm not a producer of it. Little nickels and dimes here and there probably goes more to the local movie theater folks who are just trying to make a living. Anyway, etc. So I saw, and now at the 420 mark, I'm going to start. Hey, 420. Hey. The 420 mark, I'm going to start talking about the movie itself. I liked it, Now it's I don't think it's flawless, but I liked it. I found it entertaining. It had like a summer movie kind of feel to it. It had this. It made me, for a while, feel like I was a little kid watching the kind of movies that I liked watching when I was a little kid. You know, I don't know. I don't think it's deep or anything, but it does have some. There's some. It's visually, I think, well done and well acted, and I don't think it's woke. I don't think there's anything particularly woke about it. Now, people will quibble about this thing or that thing, and people will say, oh, well, this reference to this fictitious world event in this movie is obviously a reference to this real world event in life. There's going to be people like that. There's Ian Michael Black. Is that his name? I used to like him. I used to think he was really funny. I still think he's funny, but he's kind of a gross guy, so I don't really follow him anymore. Haven't seen him in anything in a while, but the closest thing is, like, he shows up as a sort of kind of a Tucker Carlson-esque figure, but there's nothing that's played like, oh, this person is Trump, oh, this person is Vladimir Putin, you know, this obviously represents this is Tucker Carlson. You know, there's really nothing like that. They change the circumstances around enough to make it, even though it reflects a lot on, you know, geopolitics and such. There really isn't. It's not a movie about how we should be giving more money to Ukraine, which is, I think, how some people are going to see it. Some people are going to say, oh, obviously, because, like, the anti-woke types get off course sometimes, and they just think everything is they just get annoyed by everything, and or anything that could potentially point to something that they find annoying. They just go the whole distance and say, oh, well, but really, I don't think, if you're an anti-woke person like me, and I don't think I'm no slouch when it comes to being anti-woke, okay? I'm pretty sensitive to wokeness in movies, and I like to avoid it. I didn't see anything that was particularly woke in this movie. It seemed like there were a lot of things about, like, people were saying, oh, it's going to be about illegal immigrants, and it's going to talk about ICE, you know, what's going on with ICE right now and with Trump, and no, not really. If anything, there's more. This if you want to draw any parallels, there's more parallels to be drawn with this movie, between this movie and like Bush era stuff. There's some stuff about rendition, you know, to black sites, and if there's any sort of commentary on things, it's not about illegal immigrants and or anything like that. I mean, hell, when they were making this movie, it was before Trump got elected, and before so it's not topical, except in a very broad sort of way. And the way that it's topical, you know, like, he has these pundits. He has the Ian Michael Black character, who's like an influencer type, you know, maybe a conservative influencer type, but he's like the type who has an American flag lapel. Like, when has that been a thing? Like, that's like 20 years old now. That's not, I don't think Tucker Carlson or any of the you know, the conservative vloggers or personalities out there are going around wearing American flag lapels. That's a remnant of the War on Terror era. So it seems to me that James Gunn has, with this movie, has steered clear, even though he's maybe said some things that have made people think, here we go again, another woke Hollywood movie. He hasn't done himself any favors lately, I think, at least from the interviews that I've heard with him. But if you actually go and watch this movie, I don't think you'll see a ton of woke stuff. I'll probably get some people saying, Nowicki, you're an idiot. What about this? What about that? And I could go point by point with everything, everything that anyone would bring up who's pissed off about this movie. I think I could come back with a retort that blows your complaint out of the water. I'm pretty confident about that. So let me just think about certain things, like because this is just a impressionistic thing here. I'm just out of the movie theater, and let me think of some things to say. I found the character of Superman to be, like there was something unexpectedly touching, unexpectedly moving about Superman's fundamental decency, and how it makes him like kind of a square, and it makes people roll their eyes at him because he doesn't want to. He wants to hurt. He doesn't want to hurt anybody, even the enemy. He doesn't want to. He doesn't want to kill them unless it's absolutely necessary. I mean, he's a totally upright, Dudley Do-Right kind of guy. But what gets revealed about his character is that, and I know this isn't too much of a spoiler, but what gets revealed is that his parents, when they sent him to Earth because their own planet was dying, that there was actually a part of their message which was a little more like hey, you should go to this planet Earth and rule over these ignoramuses and get yourself a harem of women, and so that you can spread your super seed, everywhere. So his parents love, that they have this loving message towards him, and they do. His actual parents, his biological parents from Krypton, we see them at first. We see the messages that they send to him that became a part of his whole programming or whatever. It became a part of what he learned when he flew in his little baby ship. If anybody remembers that, when he flew through space, like in the 1978 Christopher Reeve movie, where Marlon Brando was his dad, and he was a big pain in the ass on the set, and was only, got paid like $50 billion for 10 minutes of screen time. This was Apocalypse Now era Marlon Brando. Anyway, so there's that interesting kind of question: what makes him who he is? Like because he's shaken when he finds this out, and of course, it's of great help to his enemies, who want to try to portray him in a certain negative light. And of course, there's I think what makes this Superman segment different is there's from previous movies, certainly from the Christopher Reeve movies from the late 70s and early 80s. What makes this different is there's like a consideration of geopolitics and how and planting it in the age of social media, how people can form opinions or get really there might be nefarious forces out there, bots out there who are helping to sway people's opinion one way or another. And what Superman is faced with, even though he's a great guy, he's a fundamentally decent guy, and he wants to do the right thing. He doesn't really. He's basically flawless, except that he just gets a little. His only flaw is that he gets frustrated sometimes, because people, portray him negatively, or people aren't fair to him, and that gets his goat. But of course, you put someone with a superhero with superpowers, what they call them metahumans in the movie, and there are a few others. I'm not a DC or Marvel aficionado, so I don't know these different sorts of characters. There's Green Lantern, who sounds familiar. And there's a couple other people who are also superpowers who have formed this Justice League, just sort of like, if you remember the cartoons from the 80s. So anyway, that's the circumstances. It's this it's a world that's like ours, except it's a matter of course that now there are these beings that they call metahumans, and Superman is one of them, and there are a few others, and some of them are good guys and some of them are bad guys. And there's Lex Luthor, and I think that the portrayal of Lex Luthor in the movie, I think, is a pretty compelling one. Lex Luthor as the villain, who and the Lex in this movie is somewhat less campy than. Well, certainly less campy than the Gene Hackman Lex Luthor from the Superman movies of the 70s and 80s. Because he was sort of he wasn't that Lex Luthor was really almost more funny. He was evil, but he was also funny. And this guy, it's played pretty straight. He's incredibly smart. He's got this whole operating system at his disposal. He's got drone technology. He's ingratiated himself with all the powers of the world. He's ingratiated himself with the United States, military industrial complex, and with the military industrial complex of other nations that are not on America's side. So he's playing all sides. He has his own nefarious plans, but he's basically he operates as a military contractor, more or less. And I think the portrayal of Lex as somebody who is motivated by envy, particularly, and there are a few scenes where the characters, there's some exposition laden dialogue that's almost it's like it's so self-aware that it's almost parodic, where characters talk about their own, what motivates them, and Superman points out that Lex Luthor is motivated by envy, and he owns that and says that his envy is good, and it's good for him, and it will help him achieve his goals and so forth. So like addressing some of the other complaints, like, I don't know, people were saying Lois Lane was too much of a girl boss, and that she was like she was allowed to dominate the story too much, and to like sort of like people said that she dominated. She was more strong-willed than Superman / Clark Kent was. That really wasn't true. I don't think Lois in the movie is like a woke, like a girl boss character any more than Lois Lane has always been a very resourceful, and tough-minded and gutsy, reporter. And she's not really any different here. But one of the big things that comes up, and this is I think this is a rambling talk here, so I think I'll bring this to a close right now until I have something more coherent to say about the movie. But there's a moment, I think, that really where Superman / Clark Kent has the final word. They're arguing about things, and she tends to be more pragmatic and more cynical, and whereas he's being Superman, he's believes in truth and justice and in humanities, in the goodness of humanity, and he expects the best from people, and believes that he has a deeply optimistic take on the human race, and she. So there's a moment where she says, I'm into the really punk rock music, and you're into all these poser bands, and he says, well, maybe being the way that I am, maybe believing in the goodness of humanity, maybe that's the really punk rock way to be. Maybe all this cynicism is not really so punk rock as you think it is. But being like me, being, a straight arrow, being a righteous dude who believes in truth and justice, and doesn't want to hurt anybody that, if he can help it, even if they're bad guys, and so forth and so on. Maybe that's the real punk rock. And it sounds kind of corny as I'm saying it right now, but in the movie, the way that it plays during their conversation is really, it's like, hey, point to Clark, and it trumps all of Lois's cynicism, and ultimately she gets over her cynicism and believes in him, and so it's not a girl boss kind of thing where the guy gets emasculated and ends up just following, and the girl is the true hero, and it's nothing like that. There are a couple of there's like one female supervillain who's pretty badass, but not again, not in a not in a way that's not with an emasculating agenda. I think all the supervillains are pretty cool, and yeah. So I think ending on that note, like this movie is kind of, in spite of everything that's been said about it, it's trying to find I don't think it's divisive. I mean everything's divisive nowadays. Every new iteration of some iconic character is divisive. It's going to be divisive. People are going to feel different ways about it. It's a sign of the times. And of course, Superman is the most iconic. No matter what you say, he was, before there were any of the other superheroes, Superman was, he's basically where it's at. He's where it's, begins and ends as far as superheroes go. And I'm not a big superhero movie or comic book kind of guy. It's just like there's all the other characters, there's all the other superhero characters, and then there's Superman, above all of them. Like he's the man. Superman's the man. Even though Batman, I think, is more interesting, Superman has just got the mystique, that none of the other superheroes have. So I think just the attempt is the ultimate attempt is to say that Superman's heroic, somewhat square, somewhat uncool, Dudley Do-Right, straight arrow, goody goody kind of personality is that the movie ultimately ends up celebrating that, and saying that's the true punk rock, which again sounds corny the way I'm saying it now, but in the movie it had so much heart. The delivery of that line had so much heart that it made me tear up a little. It made me go, yeah, there you go. I'm with you, Superman. Anyway, those are my thoughts on Superman. It's not, like I said, it's not perfect, but I liked it. I enjoyed it as a summer movie. It gave me the summer movie feel. It left me with good vibes. So I recommend it. Those are my thoughts. Have you seen it? What do you think?